welcome to episode 539 of the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris Hyde. How are you, Chris Hyde?
Hello, hello, hello. You all right?
Yes, thank you, mate. I'm glad to be here with you, of course, as always.
Good. Thanks for clarifying.
And also with us this week is not Lalkar.
Yay!
I was going to say it's an upgrade, but it's Chris White. Hello, Chris White.
Hello, how are you?
He is. Look at that. Look at the man.
The best upgrade we could have asked for.
How are you, Chris White? Chris White.
Yeah.
Sorry, how are you, Chris White?
I'm good. I am good. Yes, very good.
I'm really
Thank
glad
you.
to hear. Everyone excited because we should mention at the start of this podcast, just in case we're going to become sporadic in terms of weekly podcasts because we are in heavy preparation mode for Game of the Year 2023. I nearly said 2024 then, but that's not what it is.
That's wishing time away, isn't it?
A little bit. But we are here to talk about some games. We've got a couple that are kind of new, some that are really new, some that are really old and remade, and we've got some that we just didn't get a chance to talk about because the man himself, Chris White, wasn't here to talk about. So, Chris, take it away with the first game then, which is?
Yeah, it's Like a Dragon Gaiden. I don't know. I don't actually know how it's supposed to be pronounced, so apologies. The man who erased his name.
One of the longest names for a game in a long while, right?
Yeah. It's essentially Yakuza 6.5, shall we say. So it takes place after the Song of Life, where Kiryu dies.
Spoiler!
No. If you ain't played it by now, you're missing out.
Fuck him.
But yeah, basically. But you're going to know this because he's in Infinite Wealth, which comes out in January. But this could potentially be the last action... It's not RPG, and
they are.
Kind of.
It's a modern incarnation of what we grew up as Streets of Rage, isn't it? Like it's that basically taken to its nth degree.
Yeah.
Do you think it will be the last one then? Do you think?
No, the last one with Kiryu in the lead role, I would say.
Right. So you're saying you think they will keep making the beat 'em ups, so to speak?
I'll tell you what. Well, if you've seen the trailer for Infinite Wealth, he's kind of got terminal cancer.
Oh well, I didn't know that, but
and that's in the story trailer that dropped, the last story trailer for Infinite Wealth. So I would say.
So if you're going to get angry at anyone, it's not Chris you should be angry at. He didn't spoil that. It was in a trailer. Yeah,
it was in a trailer, and it's quite clear because he says it. But anyway, so
well, I looks at the camera and says, "I have terminal cancer."
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine.
He's talking to. He's talking to
the person behind the camera.
No, who's the other main guy?
Kazuma Kiryu? No, that is...
No.
Oh, God.
Ichiban
Kasuga Ichiban.
Yeah,
oh, my God. Wait.
So
I just didn't try. I can visualise
It's definitely Ichiban. I think it's Ichiban Kasuga, isn't it?
Do you think of, Friends when Joey does that toothpaste commercial for Japan? Oh, no, lipstick for men. Do you remember?
I can't recall.
It's called Ichiban. Anyway,
his name's Ichiban Kasuga.
In the trailer, they're basically asking him, "Are you all right?" Basically, you're not yourself, and he kind of goes, "I've got cancer," or something like that. Anyway,
presumably a little more dramatically than what you just said.
No,
Yakuza games.
I've got pause, zoom in.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't joke.
Pause and zoom is the way we do dramatic news in the games industry. Pause and zoom.
Yeah. So, this is set after he's basically gone into hiding to protect the orphanage that he leaves behind.
Sorry, Chris, but because I haven't finished The Man Who Erased His Name, and I'll be honest with you, time's starting to escape me now. You know what it's like. So they've kind of been marketing these two games simultaneously because one is, but one is a JRPG, a turn-based JRPG, like a Dragon was, which was Yakuza 7 technically.
Yeah.
And the Like a Dragon Gaiden ones is their way because they've gone now from being called Yakuza to these games are Like a Dragon, and Like a Dragon mainline games are JRPG turn-based games. Like a Dragon Gaiden games are these RPGs with the combat is melee action, Streets of Rage. But I find it a bit odd because we always knew they were coming out close to one another. But it's only today as we record this they dropped 48 screenshots of Infinite Wealth,
which you can see on GOTY.com.
Which of course you can see on GOTY.com. But also there's been trailers, as you say, that have shown all this. It's kind of weird that, like, I know it's out in January and the marketing has to, but like you'd have to go. I mean, you've played it because you reviewed it. You know, it seems it's a bit. I can't think of many games that do this. There are other games that do the thing of like, this is our main line and this is our sub sort of.
Not that close.
Not that close,
games.
and not where they are.
It confused me initially.
Yes.
When we started talking about this one, because I had my head in the next one, and I was like, what?
Well, I think what most people would do with these games is that, like, Kiryu wouldn't be in the other one, if you know what I mean. Kiryu would be in Gaiden, that was his story. Kiryu wouldn't be in Infinite Wealth, I think, in other game series. I think they would be like, but because he is, and because it's his, you know, we don't know, we haven't played.
What are you asking me? Do you want to know where it fits in?
I don't know. Because
I can tell you exactly how it fits in, because it is actually quite clever. So, in Like a Dragon with Ichiban Kasuga.
Kasuga, yeah.
Kasuga, yeah.
Kasuga, sorry. Always
call him Ichi. Everyone calls him Ichi, don't they?
Kiryu's in it briefly.
See, I don't remember that.
But you don't know. You don't really know why, because you don't know how he's gone from disappearing to now being in Like a Dragon. So from Like a Dragon, he's in it and he's with Ichi. They're now going to be in Infinite Wealth together. So that's cool. So we know how it fits in. What this does, it tells a story from after Song of Life, where he disappears at the end, to how he gets to where he is in Like a Dragon, and tails off quite nicely into Infinite Wealth, why he's in Hawaii. So it's actually really smart. But what the best thing about this game is 100% the story, because it's almost like a reflection on his life as well throughout the games. Like, there's nods to characters and enemies he's fought in, like, Yakuza Kiwami or Yakuza 2. But people might have played that Yakuza Kiwami.
You didn't find it difficult to go back to because I loved Like a Dragon. Like, for me, that was when I first heard about it, and I was like, wait, you're doing what to Yakuza? But I love turn-based JRPGs. So when I actually played it, I was like, oh god, you've taken something I loved, and for me, very specifically for me, made it even better somehow. So when I went back to when I played Like a Dragon Gaiden, I found it quite hard to go back to the melee. You obviously not.
No, I think what I like about this as well is the combat feels a lot more streamlined, simplified. Yeah. It's not 4 different fighting styles where only two of them you're going to use, and the other ones 2, like, it's just not really worth, like, because obviously I played the other Yakuza game that came out earlier in the year.
Wait, what?
I reviewed it.
That was this year.
Yeah, I'm sure it was March.
It was. No, you're right. Holy shit! Wow.
Which basically is all the characters, God. But they play different characters.
But yeah. Feudal Japan, isn't it?
So I have had more recently. Anyway, so the combat's a lot more streamlined. You've got Yakuza style and Agent style. Yakuza style is Kiryu. It is like his peak, where he's just like, it's very much for one-on-one fights. It's a lot more aggressive and focused, whereas the Agent style, he's got all these gadgets. So he's got like fucking rocket boots. He's got like a wire that can pull enemies towards him, or he can grapple occasionally. He's got like an exploding cigarette. It's like proper Bond, but like it's not like, it doesn't revolutionize the series. It's not supposed to. It's a way to fill in the gaps by giving you a familiar foundation of gameplay.
It felt like the B tier game to Infinite.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I don't know if you've had a chance to actually see the screenshots today, but some of them, I know they're screenshots and they've taken the UI off them, but it looks.
Oh, I can't wait.
Because it's set somewhere else as well, isn't it? Like that.
Yes, it's set in Hawaii because Ichi goes to look for his mum.
And that's really exciting for people who've enjoyed Yakuza games, I think, right? I mean, it is for me, because as much as I love them, like...
It's great.
You're going somewhere new.
And you find out why Kiryu's over there, and it's like... It's so, like, poignant. And, like, So, like I said, it reflects on his past. So there's certain characters from his past. People might remember, might not. They more than likely will. They'll absolutely remember some characters. I'm trying because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
but there is a
No,
great
let them make trailers to do that.
yeah. There's a great scene where Kiryu becomes. He's always kind of like straight faced. There is a bit of humor to him. He's not like a robot, but he's been brought up that way, being part of the Yakuza. He's not like Majima, who's a loose cannon, and he's gone one way, whereas
Do you know
Kiryu
who he
hasn't.
reminds me of? And I can only say this because I've just started watching this show. He's kind of Jack Reacher.
Oh, is he?
Have you seen that at all?
No.
So I hadn't seen it until I started watching literally the first episode of it, and it's the same. It's like, oh, I'm into this because it's basically this double hard bastard who it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, there's 4 of us and 1 of you, and you as a viewer are going, you're right, there is. Really sucks you haven't got another 14 of you and it's that kind of thing. But then he's also got like a human side to him, and you'd like that show a lot, I think. Like
he's a badass. He is. He's Kiryu. But like, there's this one scene where he lets his guard down and just pauses. And I'm sure this is in the trailers. You don't know why he is, but he's literally bawling his eyes out. And you don't see that. You seldom see that side of him. And it's the journey from having to wave goodbye to his orphanage which is called Morning Glory, which
it never stops. That is just like what. That's on purpose. That has to be on purpose.
It is.
I don't know how you would just randomly decide to use that as a name for an orphanage.
Maybe they're just like really big Oasis fans.
Maybe that'd be cool.
Let's not assume anything here, lads, because
that'd probably explain why Noel Gallagher ends up in like one of the side quests. But
that would be amazing. By the way, that would be
I know. But like
Liam Gallagher walks on with his green Mac, just smoking a tab, like, "Alright, kid, fucking." Should have let you do the accent. Would have made more sense. Wouldn't it?
No, it worked. It worked.
You just wanted to do your accent.
It worked.
I can only do that though. I like kid.
So it stops at it.
Yeah, it's
that's what you need. But like the side quests, it's worked slightly differently. Like the sub stories work slightly differently because it all plays through this thing called the Akami network, and this is this female called Akami, and she's got her ear to the ground. She's like intel, and she communicates with like the homeless people. She feeds them and looks after them, and in turn they feed back information on like bits and pieces. And that's how you kind of do all your sub stories. And there's an awesome crossover, which it's not hard to work out what that crossover might be based on the fact that it's Ryu, Gotoku. But there's like a real nice side quest there. And then some of the other like sub stories are brilliant, like just really well written stuff. But there's like there's tons of mini games. Depends what you play it for. Like there's loads of them. It's quite a short game in terms of like it's about 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours for the main story. That's
for the main story,
though. The bits and pieces. But it's just really cool. And like compared to other Yakuza games, it's not the best. But in terms of like they are such good writers.
They know their characters too, man. They know their characters.
And like there is a moment where I would say watch it on YouTube if you don't get to see it, because fans of the Yakuza games, there's the best scene I've ever seen in a Yakuza game. It's just badass. It's just cool, and like I was floored by just how awesome it was. It's a proper nod to the past in the best way possible.
You've maybe want to go back, man. Like I wasn't not enjoying it, if you know what I mean.
No, I know.
I was really quite enjoying it. I love these games, but I just found it quite difficult to. I didn't play Ishin, so I found it quite difficult to go back from.
Yeah,
because I do think like a Dragon with Ichiban as well is like that. I think they allowed in because they love Kiryu. Like there's and they're not letting him go. You know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me if they find a cure. Do you know what I mean? In this universe for him, they don't want to let him go, and I understand why. Because like at the end of the day, while nobody played these games comparatively to now they're on bloody Game Pass and everything. He was their but there was a man. It was so like Ichiban, but I think with Like a Dragon, with Ichiban's story, I think they let in more humor. Like you know when you like the summons, it's not a Final Fantasy game, but we always refer to them as that way. It's just the summons where you can summon a crab or the guy from prison with the like they do go more wacky. I was actually curious if you had. I don't know if you've had a chance to see this, but if you've seen the story that's been doing the rounds recently about how long Infinite Wealth is going to be.
No,
you haven't. I wondered if you had. So like I'm reading this from IGN, but it's reported by a Japanese outlet called Game Watch and been translated by Automaton. The studio head Masayoshi Yokoyama said that Infinite Wealth, which is basically Yakuza 8, isn't it, is a monster class video game. He said if you go at it continuously, you'll get sick. He said the games take a long time to clear, don't they? Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name, is not so much, but Infinite Wealth is a monster class game, longer than anything we've made so far.
Oh my God.
If you go at it continuously, you'll get sick, and it won't end with just one or two all-nighters. This means a lot of people are going to hesitate to play the game or will end up having to wait on their shelves. I found the possibility of that kind of outcome sad, so I thought we have to get everyone hyped up enough to play it. So, like, if you're listening, RGG Studio, that's great. So send the review copies out extra early.
Christmas.
3 months.
Christmas would be great. That would be the most amazing thing. Like that would be perfect. But yeah, like
No, that's fine.
But that certainly has my whistle well and truly wet, shall we say?
One more like little mention before we move on is like I was talking about how it kind of bits of it relate to like it happens almost concurrently with Like a Dragon. And there's a scene where anyone that's played Like a Dragon will remember that Ichi gets shot, and then all those homeless people look after him.
Yes, yeah, I've seen this bit.
Yeah, you end up in like that place, and they're like, you need to be quiet because there's someone's just in there in that tent and he's been shot, and you're like, okay. And then if you go over to the tent, you click on it, it's like, oh no, better not disturb him.
Because that's where I've stopped because I'm like, well, he's going to be right in there, right? And I'm like, I don't want to. I sort of stopped there and I was like, oh my God, because it was one of those where I felt like I was about to have a big story beat and I didn't have like a 40-minute period of time. But yeah. I do want to get back to it. I love these games. So
yeah, but no, story is great. Gameplay is very similar, but yeah, I really liked it.
Go to godisgeek.com and find the review and read it and see exactly why we like it so much. Let's move on to Mr. Hyde, who has been playing a game that Mick Fraser has coined a new genre for. He's calling these games SoulsVanias.
Yeah, because we needed more amalgamate. We've got amalgamations of amalgamations now. It's like, Jesus Christ.
But he's right.
But I mean, annoyingly, he's right, and he'll clip that, I'm sure. Mick Fraser is correct. So The Last Faith is SoulsVania. It's part Dark Souls, part Metroidvania. So it's 2D. So it's a 2D Metroidvania game, essentially, with kind of combat and shenanigans, and then Dark Souls elements to it. So the way it works is, you've got your standard combat, and we'll go into more of that in a bit more detail in a minute. But you'll have like, I don't know what they're called. I'll call them bonfires for the sake of shit, because people don't understand, where you can obviously rest and level up and stuff like that. And then obviously if you die...
Do you think other developers get pissed off when they hear that sort of stuff? Like they...
Probably.
For God's sake, they're calling it bonfire and souls again.
But what I will say in defense of that is, call it something that's obvious, like a brick to forehead thing. Because what happens is they'll go, like rest at the Portal of Enlightenment or something. I'm not going to fucking remember that. I remember bonfire because it was called bonfire and looked like a bonfire.
Let's test your theory. I've literally stopped playing this game to do this podcast.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the name of the currency in this game. Can you?
No, it's souls. No, I don't.
I want to say it's like Nacroxes or something like something to do with
Nicrux. It is Nicrux. I do know that. It's Nicrux. Sorry, yeah, no, it is that. But yeah,
we'll take it.
You collect Nycrux, which performs very similarly to the currency of souls. So if you die, you lose your Nycrux, and then you go back to where you died and you recover them. It's very, very, similar to essentially. It works essentially as a 2D Dark Souls. It does, which has been done before. But like I say, this has got like, the Metroidvania aspect to it, where you're exploring, you'll obviously beat bosses, you'll get power-ups, and you'll use those things to come back and explore areas you couldn't get to before. So you might find a grapple hook, for example, which can attach to things that means you can get higher. Or you might find something that means you can move boxes about, which you can jump on top of, or use them for puzzle solving and stuff like that. So, but you progress, and not only does that help you progress the story, but like it also kind of means you can kind of backtrack, unlock secrets, and all that sort of stuff. And it also does the thing that most Metroidvanias do, where there's like more than one path to go and off and explore. Not all the time, but most times there's like maybe two open to any one point. So, if you're not getting on with one place, you can go and find another place. So what I will say is I think it's very good. It's one of those games where I'm finding it very addictive to play. Like I'll find myself playing it, and then 3 hours later I'm still playing it. And I can't put it down. And I think the reason for that is one, I think the combat's pretty good, the movement's pretty good, it's pretty responsive. I have a couple of points on that, but overall it is responsive. I think from a challenge point of view, don't necessarily be put off by the fact that I've referenced Dark Souls. It's more Dark Souls in mechanics than Dark Souls in holy fuck, I've just beat my head against a brick wall because I've come to a boss kind of difficulty. The bosses are more that sort of like Metroid Dread type bosses, where you'll face them at the start, and you'll probably die to most of them, not all of them, but some of them, and you go, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? And then a couple of fights later, you've got a counter for all of the attacks, and you're barely getting hit. The only thing
I would say, just to mention, if you do buy this game, don't give up at the first boss, because I think the first boss is a really oddly high skill check.
Yeah,
and I don't know why it's like that. But then, after you do that, you'll be like, oh, I mean, the next boss, like I did first time. The boss after that, I think it was second go. Like it was like, this is a really odd
point. It's a really good point, because I think the boss I've died the most to, in terms of most deaths, is the first boss.
Yeah, I would agree.
And that was about 10.
10, yeah.
I want to say.
Admittedly, I will say that 5 or 6 of them was I didn't know I had any heals because I missed the tutorial.
Oh, I knew I had heals, so I'm just shit.
Were you told?
No, you're not told, but it is like
you've got them to start with, and you go
item, and like you pick it up, and it's called a healing needle or something. I just missed that. I picked up healing injection, I think it's called. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's very descriptive of what it should be. And then you go into items and no, I'm just saying, like, it's not like it isn't like Dark Souls where it's like, this is your Estus, you have 6 of them and they refill at bonfires. This is more like it's not really, I guess it's like a life gem, but it's you kind of collect them, and you have a certain, it works like Bloodborne, where you basically
same
have
with the bullets as well.
Yeah, you have like a stock of them, and then when you exceed how much you can carry, it goes into your stock, like your storage. And then when you
storage.
What's that?
Storage.
It's got storage. And then when you die, it replenishes any gaps from your storage. So if you can carry 5 of them and you use 3 and then you die, it will put 3 more if you've got them in your storage into your amount that you can carry, if that makes sense, Chris. Like, so you're constantly restocked if you've got enough, right? And you can buy more and stuff. So, but yeah, it's not as overt as use Estus to heal, like Adam said. Like, it automatically puts it on a slot. It's one of your items you can use, if you get my drift.
Yeah, if you don't equip it when you pick it up, you won't have any heals. You have to equip it. And I did, and this is what I missed.
Boss is a bit of a bastard.
Yeah. But once, by the time I worked out, once Mick had said you have got heals, I'm like, I fucking haven't. And he goes, no, it's this. And I was like, and then I did the boss like third try, because it was like I'd memorized the pattern so much by that point.
Yeah,
it was bloody easy. But like, yeah, it's.
but then I think like so once you're past that first boss, the difficulty of like the grunts and stuff feel more. It's very accessible, I think, in a difficulty sense. You feel like you can progress. Yeah, some of the combination of like level design and grunts might frustrate you a little bit, but never to the point where you're like, I don't know what to do. So you feel like you can, through those sessions, you get addicted because you are always progressing. You'll find a new area, you'll get to a boss, you'll beat the boss, and then you'll want to see what's next. And it does, and that's what keeps you going. And I've been keeping going for quite a few hours now because I keep feeling like I'm progressing in every single session. I do have a couple of points. One moan I have to get out of the way is that this game does something really frustrating quite early on that pissed off me, pissed off Adam. I don't know if it pissed off Mick. He didn't kind of give his hand away how much it pissed him off. But there's this, like in most Metroidvania games, you might come across something you can't access yet because you haven't got the right ability, right? Yeah. That's fair. That happens in all in all of those kind of good examples of it. And you come across this one, I mentioned it earlier, it's like the you can move boxes. And you're like, I'm going to have to move that box to use it as a platform. Fine, get it. Can't do that yet. I'll come back when I can. And it's very hard to miss.
Well, I think you spot that very early as well. That is a very distinguishable moment of, this is a Metroidvania, that is a power I'm going to be. I don't know what it is or how I'm going to be able to move that, but that block is going to be movable.
That block's going to move somehow.
You sketch it in your memory, coming back to you once I get this power.
And then then what happens is you get, you progress the story and you beat a boss and you end up getting this ability with the picture of a block. And you're like, fucking yes, right, I know where I need to go now for that because I've already been there. Brilliant. So you might do a couple of bits around where you're at, and then you go, right. And the good thing is there's fast travel everywhere. So you can just go, right, I'm going to fast travel back to that area and do it.
Yeah.
And you do that, like most normal people, and you end up in an area you're not supposed to come to for another,
See, I'm glad you've brought this up, because I think this warrants a bit of more of a discussion, because I want to ask you a couple of questions, right? I'm trying to defend it, and I don't know if I can, if that makes sense, because I was literally there going, once you know that block, you write it down in your memory, And
you do,
but the enemies, as soon as you get to that area, right away, the first enemy, it doesn't look like much, to be honest. It's just like a human weird. The game's, it's very Bloodborne-y, blasphemous-y. It's quite religious. It's all a bit weird. Yeah. So like the enemies are sort of humans, I think, and like you're like, oh my god, I've gone from this enemy takes 3 to 4 hits to it's taking 13 to 14 hits. And you take one down and you move on, there's another one, he's even tougher, and you're like, but surely I am supposed to be here because of that block. But the problem is this game is really friendly compared to us. When you say the word Souls-like, when you say the word Souls, you think difficulty, you think, I don't want to say anti-consumer or anti-player, but you do think this game is going to require me to, fuck me, I'm sorry for saying this out loud, get good.
Get good, yeah.
It does. But this game's really friendly. You could just go to any other area and just grind, and then jump back to use the teleport. You can teleport. As soon as you find the first bonfire, you can move to the other ones. And you can level up. So you can grind from as soon as there's basically a mansion. As soon as you find it, you can grind. A few hours into it, it's a bit like Bloodborne and Souls, where you meet people and you say, hey, come to the mansion. It's safe there, and they become vendors. So
it doesn't sound as rapey as it actually. It's not as rapey as it sounds.
No.
Yeah. Come back to the mansion.
Wow, that's one way to disarm me.
That's a podcast title.
Jesus Christ.
Not as rapey as it sounds.
Yeah. But so you can grind as much as you. Oh no. You can get your level. No. You can get your levels up as much as you want, but you can also buy healing items, and it's not even like the vendor has a limited stock where it's like in fact, I just ran out, so I went and bought 150 healing items so that whenever I respawn, I'm not going to run out. So at first I was like, well, do I? Because some games do this where it's like, no, sorry, you need to go and grind. And that's fine. Once there's RPGs that do this. You need to go and grind. And that's, again, absolutely fine. But because of the issue, or because this one is like, hey, remember that block? It doubles down on the problem, because in this... So every other area, once you get a new ability, the area is littered with, grapples. you see them before you get it, and once you get to the area after you get it, there's loads of grapples everywhere, and it's like, I'm using my new ability. There's an air dash. Once you get that, everywhere is like, oh, I'm air dashing across these gaps I could otherwise not reach. This one, it's just like you just use that block moving, and you climb into this area, and you're in the ice area. But inside the ice area, there are these like bomb flowers, which you can pick up and throw up doors to break these doors open. So the ability for this area is like a temporary, not gated mechanic. You can just grab these bombs and do it. So there is, once you're inside, the only thing that makes you go, am I supposed to be here? Is the fact that you did use the block moving ability that you just got. Everything else about that area is like, well, yeah, you can do this. You can do this fine. And do you know what? I think you could. Because I am actually at that point, like 4 hours later now. And I think if you were like brilliant in the game,
oh yeah, 100%.
I think you could do that
difficult.
area, right?
It's not locked off. It's just difficult. Because I messaged you and went, Jesus, this game gets hard. Because you literally got into a place like I feel almost to the overpowered for a Souls game to go and feeling really underpowered. And I was like, what the bloody hell is going on? And the problem is, because I'm fine with like I literally said it before, like you've got different options of places to go to. If some places too hard, go to another one. The thing with this exact point in the game, and I'm going to try and not spoil too much, but where you're not actually supposed to go there. The way you're supposed to go is some random room that not random room, but specific.
The thing is, you've been to that room before.
You've been to the room before. The game doesn't tell you go back there. Now you've beat the boss that you got the cube ability from, and something else will happen that will lead you, not cube related, to the area you need to go to next.
They mess up player agency.
That room by mistake.
They mess up player agency because when you find out about this, like your character, it's basically a statue moves and you go down a ladder, right? That's the spoiler you're going to get. And when you have a conversation with this bloke in this room who wasn't there before, and nothing to do with this statue, and then he finishes his conversation and he walks off, just bangs your guy who you have been playing as just goes bang bang on this statue, it moves and there's a ladder, and you're like, so they completely fuck up the player agency to the character agency. Like it's a complete, I don't know how anyone wouldn't make this mistake.
No,
like,
and annoyingly, it is the only time that it happens, because you go down there and like the enemies are slightly harder than the area you've just been in. You're like, this is how the progress.
This is where I'm meant to be.
And then you do all that area, then you go to another area, and they're slightly harder, but it's all still easier than this ice area, and it all works. And the direction and the progress and stuff, because you know how good Metroidvanias tease new stuff, but they still flow quite nicely through areas. It does all of that, and then you go, well, now I can go back to the ice area, when I went actually back there properly, I was feeling as powered as I was before, and it's absolutely fine. Then it's just about learning the enemies and how best to tackle and dodge them. And
I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, do you know what they should have done? You know where the block is? They should have just
changed the power-up move you need to get to the ice.
They could have just literally cut that bit of geometry out, so you had to do the dash to get across it.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, if they put it behind a different power-up, you can't get there. Yeah. And then the only other thing they needed to do is maybe put a little flash of that room after the boss to go here, so it's not random, and then the whole game's fine. It sounds really specific, but it is something that could literally put a whole load of people.
I'd patch it. If I made this game, I would revisit that in a patch, and like you say, maybe just take the block out and put a gap there, just so you cannot get there at that point. Because I think once you do that, you would do what you've described to me in private, which is like when you go exploring and you find that's how you found that. Yeah, like it's weird. It's a really weird quite a large misstep, I have to say. In a game that I'm otherwise quite addicted to, like we haven't even mentioned it, but like the boss design in this game is
bosses are great.
It's fucking brilliant. The bosses are great. Yeah. Like normally when you get I got a boss, I won't spoil it. There's actually a guide for this one on GOTYsageek.com. But there's a boss that I liken to Ornstein and Smell, and in that there's two at once. Now normally when you get a boss in any game like Switch 2 at once, you're like, oh my god,
for fuck's sake!
But come on now, like. But I really like that fight.
Yeah, it's a good boss fight.
Now I don't know if people really like Ornstein and Smell. Like, do people? I know people talk about that. But do they really like it? Do they like what enjoyable fight?
Whenever I'm playing Dark Souls reruns, I both look forward to and dread that fight because I know what's coming. But I love the fact that it's coming, if that makes sense. Like, I know it's going to be challenging, but I love the fight.
Yeah,
Fight's
that's
good.
fair.
Yeah, I think the bosses are great, and like I said, the whole Metroid Dread thing about like you know, you learn the moves, and you and then after a while you go, okay, I know how to dodge that one and look for the opening and stuff, and they're kind of like test patience in some respects, like most good bosses are, right? You've got to find your openings, chip away, and then back off. You can't just rail on them and hope for the best, like, because you'll get absolutely flattened. But yeah, they feel doable, right? This isn't like I'm never going to do this. Like, even like your first couple of goes, you're like, no, I can see how this is doable. I've just got to figure out how to dodge that move, because that move is a killer, and I just haven't figured out how to dodge it yet. And yeah, I like I said, there's loads of the Souls elements make this game really interesting. It's like Souls Light. God, I'm doing it again. Like, because you have the whole leveling up thing with like strength and dexterity and stuff. You've got like weapon scaling as well, and spells that scale with certain things and stuff. So there is a bit of like builds you can do and stuff like
definitely.
that. So I think Adam's gone more strength. I've gone more like mind and stuff. So
I saw a video of someone using like almost like a Castlevania whip. And I hadn't found that. I want that because it
definitely got the
immediately.
whip.
I was like, oh my god, that's got loads of range. I mean, I eventually found this giant broadsword that gives me loads of range, but the whip looked like, I was like, oh, I want that. But I wonder if that's like, you can only get that as that character, because it looked like a starting weapon. I don't know.
It sounds amazing.
It is, honestly,
it's really good.
It's really good. Like Mick reviewed it, he gave it a 9. Like. I can. There's definitely elements of this game where I'm like 9s all day, like, because I'm addicted to it. But
yeah,
like,
I find that too. I keep wanting to say, oh, it's an 8 for me, but like, well, I'm still playing it. I keep playing it.
Yeah, it's an 8, but I'm addicted to this 8. So what is that?
What's going on?
Like,
Is it?
It's a really weird thing, and I also don't know if a lot of people know it exists.
No, I definitely think most people don't know it exists.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame because you know, there are. I wouldn't say there's loads of examples of this type of game, but there's quite a few that embrace either one or the other.
There are a few that are as this good an example, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a bit of a victim of that, I think, a little bit. It's a bit of a like Blasphemous is a series people love. I don't get on with it because I find the religious imagery just too much. Like, this is adjacent to that. There's no getting around it. It's called The Last Faith. It is churchy, but it's not like Blasphemous. I can respect Blasphemous.
Your eyes roll from about the 5th minute.
I just found it miserable. I just didn't find it.
But
and they're very similar.
Yeah, they are similar. But Blasphemous is misery because you're reading this text. You're like, Jesus Christ, carry on, calm down, lads.
But also Blasphemous is more of a Souls game, whereas I think this is why Mick called it a SoulsVania, because I think this is more of a Metroidvania game. It just happens to have some Souls mechanics like currency that and so you lose and boss battles.
The accessibility you get with something like a Metroidvania is what comes through.
Because, like, would you even argue here, like, when we're talking about these bosses, they're not really Souls bosses. They're like
they're Metroid Dread bosses. They're Metroidvania bosses. They are. And
the only Soulsness is that it's quite a dark, sort of foreboding game, and it has the currency and the build stuff, but otherwise it is like a Metroidvania for me that they just sprinkled Souls upon. And I say that because I prefer. I like both genres, but I prefer Metroidvanias. I love that genre.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's just a really enjoyable game to play. It really is, and I would recommend anyone who's like on the fence to just give it a go. Get past the first boss. Definitely get past the first boss.
I've even
give
thought
it an
about
hour,
that.
and I bet you're hooked.
I've even thought about that first boss, and I think I know why it doesn't work as well as the others. I think it doesn't work as well as the others because that first boss has a much more limited moveset. So it does it's a big lad with rock crushing attacks, and it will do a rock crush attack, or it will do like a rock crush twice attack. So it's actually difficult to read the tells because they're all kind of a similar attack. And some of the rock smash attacks will have like shards that pop off and can hit you AoE, whereas all the other bosses have a lot more of a moveset, and therefore they are distinctive and tells you can. And I think that's, like I say, I just think there's. I can't even go, it's not a wholehearted recommendation because I cannot stop playing the bloody game. But it does have just a few. Like I say, the issue. But, you know, for Chris, for example, if he played it, he would now know that's not the right way to go. Don't go to the ice area when you think you can. You know, he would know, get past the first boss and the game opens up in a wonderful way. I think there are for me personally, I don't know if you'd agree with this, Chris Hyde, but there are a few in terms of locomotion, in terms of responsivity of the kind of the dodge rolls and the air dashes. It feels to me like if I could be really nitpicky, if I could just have it be just a little bit more responsive, just
I think
the only
thing that I think less so on the dodge roll and the dash, and again we're starting to critique the minutiae.
It's
But I think
nitpicking.
it's the left right quick turning.
Yes.
There's a design choice around the delay. It's almost weird. Like if you move this character backwards, they sort of moonwalk for a bit before they turn around. Which, if you want to swing the other way with your sword quickly, they don't always do it because they're still in backwards first. So it's a bit of a weird thing. It's clearly a design choice. They're all about the impressions today. Yeah, that for me was a bigger one because sometimes I was facing the wrong way if I'm close to an enemy. But it's not. Mate, I'm not shouting at the screen going, "Oh, you need to fix this. It's breaking my game."
And you can kind of use it a little bit to your advantage. With some enemies, you can get sort of just you don't look like you're the left side of them, but they are now attacking right, and you're like, well, you are going to get absolutely smashed because you are facing the wrong way. So it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, it does.
I do think it's a victim a little bit of there being a lot of this kind, like I said, Blasphemous, Salt and Sanctuaries. These are all good games, by the way. I'm not listing bad games, but I do think it's a little bit of a victim of. It's not on that tier, is it? It's not a known developer. It's not got like Team 17 behind it for Blasphemous, or Salt and Sanctuary came from the Dishwasher team. Like it's not quite got that pedigree that you know of. But do you know what? We're going to be doing awards in like a couple of weeks' time for Game of the Year, and like we do one called Nicest Surprise, and I don't know. I think this will be on there for me. I don't know whether it'll get anywhere into that list, but like I didn't start this game anticipating at the point I'm at right now having 8.5 hours into it and being like, I just want to play more of this. And it's just not that it matters too much, but it's a fantastic game for Steam Deck as well. Like I played a lot of it on there, and it's really, really at home on the sort of portable nature. Yeah, it's on PlayStation as well. I don't know if it's on Switch. I don't think it is. But check, because if you can play it portably, it's a great game. Yeah. The Last Faith. While Chris is Googling whether it's on Switch, I will briefly talk about Super Mario RPG, which is a remake of a 1990 game. 6, I want to say. It was like the last SNES game, and it never made it to European shores until it hit like Wii Virtual Console. It's fantastic. Super Mario RPG is fantastic. It always was. And it really is so good. The remake of it is so good. It's
1996.
Yes, thank you. It kind of Lyle did an interview with the Sea of Stars developers, right? And they mentioned how much of an influence Super Mario RPG was on them, and how they replay it like yearly, and that's their game. You know what I mean? That's the one they replay. For me, it's Mario Odyssey or something. We've all got that game. You just want to the comfort, the one you go back to. Chris, I know you play like The Last of Us pretty much every year. I think. I don't know if you managed to this year or not. Well, you would have.
Cherry game.
Yeah, no, cheers you right up.
I have played it, yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't this year, was it? Part 1?
No, it was last year because I remember talking about it.
Okay. Thank God. But yeah, so this is like it's they aren't lying when they say this is like we played that game as our inspiration. There are straight up moves in this game that are like, oh, that's the move from Sea of Stars. Like Chris, you've played a bit of it now, Chris White. With Zale, you do the sun move where you hold the button down and the sun expands. Like that exact combination is in this game for a character called Gino or Geno. I'm not sure you pronounce it. Like it is. There's homage. They have. Yeah, it is. The other thing they do is like what. So again, when I haven't seen this in many games. It's not entirely new. It would have probably been back then. But when you level up your characters, you get like that bonus stat. So you level up, you get all your stats increase, and you go to like, if it's Mario that's leveled up, you can pick strength.
The Sea of Stars bit where there's also music. That bit. It's so again when it's weird to be going. We've seen this first in Sea of Stars.
It's weird to come the other direction from it, but like also
like Chris with Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, but like I find it particularly weird that I haven't seen this stuff in other RPGs.
Oh,
like why has it taken 1996 for someone like Sabotage to go, they were really cool ideas. Let's do them in 2023. Like, yeah, they are. And it also is very much like Sea of Stars in that, and people are going to be going mad at me constantly comparing it, but like Sea of Stars is one of my favourite games of this year, and it's the most... they said themselves that it was, they play it a lot. It doesn't waste your time. It's really quick. It's really snappy. Like, the movement around the overworld is really quick. The battles are in and out. If you know what you're doing, you can actually... Because it does all the button timings as well. Which is, again, that's not to say Sabotage copied them, because like South Park, Get Stick of Truth did all that stuff, and it's great. It just adds something to a turn-based RPG. Just gives you a little... If you are on the fence about a turn-based RPG, giving you the kind of direct input action commands, just propel you a little bit forward. It does that for attack and defense. There's puzzles if you want. It's quite a breezy game. It's quite a breezy, like 10, 15 hours. I think you could easily complete this in 10 to 12, I think, if you were going at it. And you can kind of make it harder for yourself, because it's that thing of, you're walking around an overworld and avoiding enemies. But I found the combat so more, I ended up over-leveled, so it was a bit easy. It's not a difficult game. Looks great. Really funny. Like, this comes as no surprise to anyone. The Mario RPG stuff, whether it's Mario and Luigi, Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, they've always got this kind of cheeky wink and a nod stuff. Like, there's one particular gag in this game that there's a constant running gag, and it always makes me laugh. Mario, I find quite identifiable. Now, that may be because I work in games, and you probably feel the same, but he's quite identifiable. His red, clothes, his big mustache, his hat. The fact he's, like, when not Super Mario, he's like an odd height compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, but no one recognises him. And everyone's like, oh, it'd be so good if Mario was here, because he can jump really high. And the first time this happens, I'm stood there and I thought the game had crashed. Like, nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? So I press the button, and it's the jump button, and he jumps, and they go, Mario! And it's like, this gag comes back over and over again, like, oh, you'll have to prove that you're Mario. How can you prove you're Mario? Jump! And it's like, only Mario can jump that high. And it's like, it's so stupid, but like, it really, you see how they set their stuff. And it's weird, because this was Nintendo, but Square Enix developed back then. Like, it was, do you remember how people flipped their lid when Ubisoft got the Nintendo job, for Mario and Rabbids?
Yeah.
And it was like, they totally got it, but they twisted it to make it really daft and silly. Like, this is not, to a lot of people, that will be the first time Nintendo allowed their products, their properties out in that way. And Square Enix did it. And I wonder, because there's characters in this that you never saw again, because they were not Nintendo characters, they were Square Enix characters. And like Geno, I wonder if we'll sort of, I start to see more of this. Like, it's just such a cool game. I'm so pleased people are going to get to play this. I think a lot of people in our shoes, even of our age, this is going to be a first. Because it didn't come out here. No. It didn't come out in the UK, and it didn't, who played it on? People will probably be going, oh, yeah, no, I played it on Virtual Console. You didn't, did you? You didn't. You were too busy playing Mario Kart like everybody else, and Wii Sports like we were all doing it. It's fine. It's fine. Play it now, though. It's really good. Yeah, I haven't got a lot more to say about it. I just think it's a really lovely, lovely game, and it's not hard. It's not as good as Sea of Stars. There, I said it.
It's. I'm glad it's come out in a really quiet year.
Yeah.
Same for the Last Faith, really.
It's to play it.
Yeah, it's good that they've waited till nothing else has happened.
I'm literally clinging on to every 3 minute to play Sea of Stars. Like, it's like I've got reviews on the go, and I'm trying so hard to get through it for the game of the year.
That's what I was doing with Baldur's Gate, and then the Last Faith came out. So that's, I mean, maybe it, but then they are so like the biggest issue for me with Baldur's Gate is I find every time I want to play it, it's like, no, you need 2 hours.
Yeah, you do.
And it's non-negotiable. There's no, I'll just play half an hour. It's not going to work. You're going to move about 3 meters and have 4 conversations, maybe a battle if you're lucky, and that's it. I love that game, man. I do, but it's so big. Sea of Stars, I think, is a little bit more pick-upable.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But yeah, Super Mario RPG. I feel I haven't given it its due, but like, it's just really.
You basically
good.
just said Sea of Stars is better to play that instead.
But it is, but it's also newer. Like they've taken what they did and done their version of it, and it works really well. Like I feel like Sea of Stars gets difficulty a bit more spot on. I think that game does that very, very well. Yeah. But like, no, it's a really good game. It is well worth your time if you never played it before. If you like turn-based RPGs, Like, it's not going to suddenly make you a fan of that genre. If you hate RPGs, Mario Wonder's also available. WarioWare is also available. There's other Nintendo stuff to play if you want Nintendo, but you don't want an RPG. But if you do like them or have a passing interest in them, this is great fun. And on that note, it is time for some...
Chris Hyde. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde. Okie dokie, let's get cracking. So, first question from Steve J. Chalmers says, "Hey geeks, with an official trailer soon to drop, what are your hopes and dreams for GTA 6? Are there any features you'd like to see discarded from previous games? Love you, bye."
It's a big old question, isn't it?
It's pretty big.
I'll start. I don't have any hopes and dreams.
Full stop. Fucking hell.
No.
Fucking hell.
Hang on. I don't have any hopes and dreams for GTA 6 because they are one of the only developers I can think of that I have full trust in to just make a phenomenal video game. So I'll just let them do whatever they do, and I'm 99% sure that whatever I play will be a million times better than GTA 5. It'll be perfect. I mean, it might not be now said that, but what I'm trying to say is that I can't think of anything I want because GTA 5 is already still so good. I would say features-wise, I'm not particularly fussed. Like, I just think whatever we get will be great. But what I would like is with running and jumping over things and that kind of side to it was never the most responsive or kind of accurate. So, and climbing over, like if you're running away from the cops and you go to jump over a fence and just run into it and jump into it, stuff like that. Just tighten up the controls a bit, make like ducking and kind of using cover a bit more reactive. I mean, if you really want, put some active reload in and make the coverage like Gears of War. But you know, hey, that's not going to happen. I just think from what the rumors are, I think it's going to be a very good game, very interesting game with how they're doing through the decades and stuff like that. But no particular hopes or dreams. I've just kind of got full confidence that whatever they release is going to be great.
I have some trepidation. Game development is often like there are certain parts of development where you see what's been done well, and what's made a lot of money, and you go down that route because that's how business works. Like, at the end of the day, people don't want to hear it, but like I'm hopeful that what they'll actually do is leave GTA Online as what it is. Maybe it gets a new engine or like a massive visual overhaul, but they bring that with it, and that GTA 6 is this single player thing with GTA O attached, in the same way they ended up with 5 being GTA 5 and GTA O, if that makes sense. I'm hopeful that they don't bring too much of the online into the single player, if that makes sense. And otherwise, with you, Chris, like I think maybe you need to dial back some of the realism when it comes to the animations, because while it's a great game, make it more fun, you know, more responsive by less animation, if that makes sense. Like, it's going to look unreal. Like, they should put like Bully 2 inside of it as well. They should just like that.
I don't think we're going to get any gameplay either.
Oh no, it'll be a minute long, and there'll be cutscenes, and
November 2024.
Yeah, if you're lucky. I'm not even.
Well, 24. That's my guess, but whatever.
Yeah, no, you could be right. You could be absolutely right. But yeah, I haven't really got any hopes and dreams for it. I'm intrigued because the world has changed a lot since GTA 5, and that will need to be reflected within the game, and I think that will be a really interesting challenge for Rockstar to handle, because they make, you know, it's not Max Payne or whatever, it's GTA. It is grounded. You can get in planes and helicopters, but it's grounded by realism, so it will be really interesting to see how they handle it. I mean, it's been a long time coming when you think about it. GTA 5 is on 3 different generations of console now. It's been a long time coming. So yeah, not really any hopes and dreams. Very much in the same camp of I'm just sitting here waiting and ready to see what happens. So
I just want it to grab me because I never really got into GTA 5 at the start, and then on its 27 other releases, I always felt like I was late to the party. Like I've done some like online with some mates and stuff, like one-off sessions, but I've never really got into it on the ground floor at the start. And so I'm really keen to actually do that with this one and see what it's about. But I am like, I'm glad you mentioned the kind of its time nature, because I'd be really interested to see where that goes. I'm not saying it has to.
They might completely ignore it and go. They're about one of the only companies.
And I'm not saying that I want
everyone.
it. I'm not saying I want it to. I'm not saying I want to fucking shoot prostitutes when I'm 40 odd. But like it's like I don't know. We'll see. I have high hopes given what everyone else says about it, but I feel like the lesson learned from the last one is don't sit on it. So that's what I need to do. And just play it when it comes out and enjoy it. And then, like I said, I think I would also echo the single versus online piece. You know, have it as like.
But by all means, make billions off of it, but keep it over there for those people. I don't want to know, basically. And that sounds a bit closed-minded because I know it's good, but like, just don't have it invade the single player.
Yeah, no, I get that. And if you want one or both, that's fine. You can do that. They do it on like COD and stuff. That's fine, but you don't need to cross them all the time. You can still have a game, but do it separately. So, yeah, but I have high hopes, but I can't talk to features from previous games being discarded because I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know, and I don't want to miss out again because it could be another fucking 40 years until 7. So, okay. McPoo's asked, who is Chris Hyde's favourite Widowmaker player and why? So this is Overwatch 2. You might have been there, Adam, at the time, actually, when we were playing online. Basically, he's having a go, because one time we were playing online, and people that don't know on Overwatch, Widowmaker's the sniper. And I put my foot in it a bit, as I sometimes do. Just like, I just turned around and went, who the fuck is that dog shit Widow player on our team? And turned around and it was Kieran. And like, I don't know the guy.
Kieran's McPoo, by the way.
Never met him. And I just went, fucking dog shit. Like, I'm the authority on quality Overwatch playing. Like, and I was just like, you know, you just like, because thinking it was just some random who I have obviously the authority to mock because they can't hear me. It's actually some guy I'm like, please like me, please help me be good at Overwatch. So now we joke about him being a dog shit Widow player. He's not. He's a really good Widowmaker player. And he is my favourite Widowmaker player. So there I said it. That's kind, isn't it? So yeah, his proper question 2, is what in-game world is your favourite to just walk around and exist in, taking in the atmosphere?
Has anyone got an answer? Because I have, if you want some time to prepare.
If you want to go first, mate, if you've got one, then give me a little bit more.
I mean, Chris White's not on the podcast as often. I would like to him to have the opportunity to.
Not at the minute. Give me a minute.
Okay. Well, the trouble is, I worry I'm going to nick yours here. There's one really recent one. For a very, very. Let me explain. Is what I was going to say before you think, my God, he's mad. So, Alan Wake 2. I think. No, like I said, let me explain.
Oh, I know why this is. Yeah. I do know what this is.
I think games. And it's all fake, I know it is, but I think the way that game creates its world and believability of it being real is really, really impressive. Like, you will find hints or Easter eggs relating to all manner of things within the Remedy sort of overarching universe, and they're not repeated. There's just so much in that game crammed in, whether it's a picture on the wall. And I think I spent 25 hours in that game, and I reckon I probably would have completed it in 20. But I just wanted to find all those references and all these little trinkets and things. I think it's such a I love it when a game does this thing. Because a lot of games do the opposite of this. You know, when you're in a game and you see a door and you're like, I wonder what's in there, and you walk up to it and you just go bang, because the door's not a real door. You can't go in there.
No comment on Alan Wake 2.
But Alan Wake 2 doesn't do that. Like, there's a completely optional section that's got like these wooden chalets. It's actually near the start of the game, but you can't get there at the start of the game. Up in the and you could, like, every one of them buildings you can go in, apart from ones which are physically blocked. Like, you can see that there is, but even then you can look in the window and see that something existed in there. And I know it's more that these are boxes. It's not an open world game, but that's why sometimes I think non-open world games can be that much more enjoyable, because they have bespoke design for everything. And the other game I would mention and it's a walking simulator or a wander game, is Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, because that is like the villages from around my area.
Oh my God,
and would be for you, Chris Hyde. I don't know Derby well enough to say for you, Mr. White, but like,
no, Derby's a shithole. Looks nothing like.
Okay, but like the countryside with like the post boxes and stuff.
Go on,
and,
then. No, hang on. Defend Derby City Centre to me.
No, right. So I'm not going to defend Derby City Centre, but what I will say is I grew up in a village well outside of Derby,
up the Rams,
called Borrowash. Up the Rams. Called Borrowash, and it was it had elements of Everybody's Gone to the Rapture in it.
Yeah,
and yeah.
Like there's a pub, like with a thatched cottage pub in Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. I can still, and it's been a long time since that game came out.
Yeah, I remember the church as well. Like
the church, the music helps. The music helps.
No, the music's lovely in that game.
Is incredible soundtrack.
Yeah,
that train station, the really old kind of oldie train station.
When you're out in the forest, in the farmyard areas and the fields, and I just thought,
what a game!
Yeah, exactly that. But just wandering around in that game, which is, I guess, what you're doing. I don't know. It's like, I think it was one of those where I thought, you don't see rural England in games often. You know, even when you think of like Watch Dogs Legion, that was like London, land and town. Like, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is rural England, like, which is where I guess I'm from and have been from most of my life. And there are thatched cottages and lots of greenery, and there are little pubs that like everybody knows your name, like Cheers or something. I haven't played it for many, many years, but I think I only played through it for once, but it's stuck with me. I
only played it once,
great.
But I can remember that green of the village and
the house you can go in that's opposite the pub. There's phone boxes. The little village green looks so much like it is like they took. There's a village near me. It's like they took that and put it in the game, and I just think they nailed rural England in a way I've never seen in a game or anything. Actually, I think it's probably the best.
No, it's not as sexy, is it?
No, but there's a beauty to it, and that's
there is.
You know,
yeah.
But there you go. I've given you two choices. So
I mean, it might be an obvious one, but I love exploring Skyrim, if I'm honest with you. It's not as not the realistic, as the ones you mentioned, but obviously I used to love just wandering upon a cave and then going in it, and there'd be like notes and stuff and some random side story that might not actually be a proper quest, but you'd pick up like notes and stuff and piece together someone had died or was like in love with someone or committed, a dark art ritual or something. And it was always interesting, and nothing ever felt like there was nothing to find in when you got to a place on the map. So it meant when you were exploring, you could just get lost in the whole. It was that game where you were like, I've literally achieved technically nothing in the last 3 hours, but I've had a great time because I've seen these places, these mines, these caves, maybe a village or something, and I stuff's happened, and it's just been a really good time. Skyrim's the one that when anyone talks about like worlds you get lost in, that's. I mean, I've played so much of that game, like I just adore it. You have plenty of time now, Chris.
Yakuza, Camarocho.
Oh, yeah.
I love. One of my dreams is to go to Japan one day, and I love the look of it. I love walking around the streets, and I love the neon signs, the life, and the
you probably know where you were going as well. We need a map.
yeah, and like you've got just all the restaurants. They just look so amazing, and that culture is just awesome. And I'd love to, like, when it gets to night time, go to like brothel and just like let loose.
Please, a soap
literally
house. A soap house.
Meet with the what they called in the game, cabaret clubs. That's what they're called. Where you basically just talk to women, but they're interested in you, which is good because no one ever is. So I'll go down that route. I would say Camarocho.
Well, it seems churlish now to just add that I would also throw in briefly Spider-Man's New York from the new
I thought you were going to say
Chris.
that when you said you'd steal one of Chris's. I thought you were going to say
no,
that.
I think that's a good game to just like whip around in.
Yeah.
As well, but I guess you're going so fast you don't see much.
You don't get lost in it, I suppose, in that sense.
No,
but
I'll stick with the original answers.
Yeah. Okay, and then last on the list of questions this week is actually one for Chris White. So Dane asks, now that you've finished Baldur's Gate 3, can you give us your final impressions and score without revealing your Game of the Year?
Yeah, I was going to say you need to sort of
talk around this.
Not in brief, I guess, but like you need to sort of... What do you think, Chris, Mr. Hyde? How does he...
I mean, I should just keep saying words until certain things happen. But I mean, I think basically, mate, all I'd say is like,
don't give you anything away.
Don't give it away. If you're gonna say stuff to leverage an argument for Game of the Year, don't say it now because we'll think of things to counter it between now and then. That would be my advice.
Would you give it a 10 out of 10?
Oh, hands down.
Okay,
I'm not surprised.
Easy.
Hearing what you said about it.
And like, I can't give final impressions in all honesty because I'm still so there's a lot to process in terms of
man needs time to.
Yes, man does need time.
Man needs time.
Man needs time to grind in his mansion.
I will say that it is the hype and the acclaim right from all the nominations and stuff is absolutely more than deserved from the story, the music.
You buying the collector's edition? You gonna get it?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I thought you would.
I can't not. Like, I want everything to do. It's just. I don't want to say because I will be talking about it for Game of the Year, and I'm not stupid. Like this is our Game of the Year, and it's such a big time sink for everyone to spend time finishing it. And I'm a realist, but I also think there is no way we can
politicking already. Like
we're
not that.
He's preparing for his Shadow of War monologue.
I've been burned before, but like, there's no way you could deny this is one of the best games of 2023.
Well,
and I'll talk more about why. And even if I could just, I don't want to because I'll get angry.
Stay tuned for the Game of the Year 2023 deliberations.
It is exceptional, and I'm in love with it, and I can't stop thinking about it. Okay. And I ain't got time to play it again, but
no, it's a bit long.
I would in a heartbeat. There you go.
Okay, 10 out of 10. Any more, Chris? Or Chris?
Just stay tuned to the Game of the Year because it's going to be carnage.
Lit. It's going to be lit.
It's going to be,
Thanks, Chris.
Something.
Thing is, audio that just sounds like you're masturbating, but that's fine. Either or, brings them in.
I am.
Oh yeah, true. I can't see your left hand. Right? Do I play the jingle, Chris?
Yeah, get us out of it. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
And that's it for episode 539 of the God is a Geek podcast. I don't know if we will be back next week because we are very much in the sort of we need to use every hour to play the games that are shortlisted for the nominations for our Game of the Year categories so far. And we are hoping to bring a Patreon exclusive extra special bonusy type thing as well. At the moment, those are in the plans. We will see when we get there. We will try to get you a podcast as and when we can. If you're watching on YouTube, you might see the sort of production, so to speak, slowed down a little bit. We will still be reviewing games. Stick to godisageek.com and you won't miss anything there. And we'll try and pop some of the stuff onto YouTube as well so you can see it. Thank you to Chris for being here on this podcast.
Thank you.
Make sure you follow us on all your social media apps. And I really struggle to say that now. If you're a regular listener, I really struggled.
Social mediums this
no,
week,
I really tried not to, and I still nearly did. But yeah, follow us on all those things. And do come back. You'll make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit the bell button, and then you'll be notified of a new video, whether it's a podcast review, even a YouTube short, striptease, all that sort of stuff. And thanks for watching the Grind Mansion. We will speak to you next week. Maybe, probably not, but we will speak to you whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.